Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Fresh Start Show. Dr. Demond T. Holt is not here today, and the reason being he's spending some much-needed time with his girls and making sure his family is solid. So amen, and thanks for Dr. Holt to let me sit here and sit in for him and speak to you this Saturday morning, August 24th. Where we can tell you about yesterday's fundraiser. We can tell you about what's coming up, and that's what I'm going to get into first. Because October 19th, 2024, at the Tucson Convention Center is going to be another Fresh Start Expo. And we are so excited about this and how big it's getting, how many people are being helped. And part of that is the opportunities that have arisen in this last year to partner with Goodwill of Southern Arizona and Lance Meeks to be able to do a number of, we've done two now, the clinics, the Fresh Start clinics out at Goodwill of Southern Arizona, and we've been able to get the judges out there and the resources out there. And as always, Sports Clips is out there doing haircuts, and DKA is out there getting people dressed and getting their resumes written and get them help finding jobs and stuff like that. Arizona at Work. We have so many partners now that are just absolutely wonderful people with a heart for our futures, becoming something that is strong and powerful and that we're proud of. Because there's people standing there with us, and there's people watching us, and there's people supporting us. And we spoke yesterday at the Fresh Start Breakfast about the opportunities for people to come on board and support us, whether it be financially, whether it be with volunteerism, or coming out to the events, or making phone calls, or going out and finding felony-friendly employers that we could add to our list, and other resources that would help enhance somebody's opportunity to move forward in an easier way without having so many roadblocks, without having so many walls thrown up. We spoke yesterday again about some of the things that we've been able to do in the last year. And this is really cool. We got this printed up. It's over 21 warrants quashed, 85 community partners providing access to resources at the 3 events. 69 payment plans or community service repayments. Motions for restoration of rights, 41 fines, fees, and or collection fees waived or reduced, 137. Motions to seal records, 23. We've had over 807 attendees in the 3 events. That's the big expo and 2 of the empowerment clinics that we've had out at Goodwill of Southern Arizona. And man, just incredible. So October 19th, TCC, from 9 to 1, we're going to have the judges out there from the Superior Court, the City Court, the Justice Court. We're hoping to have DMV, anybody with those, they get those ironed out, get those fixed, so you can get your driver's license, so you can get a better job that has a sustainable wage, so you can take care of you and your family. So here's the biggie. November 2nd is the first annual Fresh Start Expo Phoenix, and Grand Canyon University has invited us to their campus to put on a Fresh Start for Maricopa County. And this is an incredible step into the future, giving us an opportunity to expand into a populace that's probably close to 3 times the size of Tucson, I believe. I'm not exact on that, so don't write in or do write in, and write us about these programs. And if you're somebody that's in the joint right now and you're preparing to get out of the joint right now, your heart would have been moved yesterday when you saw how many people showed up from 8 to 10 in the morning. We had an event, Fresh Start fundraiser. Lance Meeks from Goodwill of Southern Arizona spoke at the event and was very powerful. And we had people from organizations and churches and businesses all around the city come, and we were able to show them examples of people who have been helped, people who have been blessed by what we do here at Fresh Start. And what we do at Fresh Start. We watch here at Fresh Start, and it's all volunteer based, but we watch these judges and lawyers and county attorneys and public defenders and Andy Silverman's law students. We watch them work magic, and we watch them do things that would cost us a fortune to hire somebody to do. So we would be paying all this money to get these forms filed and stuff like that. And Andy has his students out there, the public defenders, the county attorney. They have their attorneys out there helping people prepare their paperwork so that they can change their entire future in one day. And I'll tell you what, I've been part of it for 4 years now. And this is going to be the fourth Fresh Start Tucson, the first Fresh Start Maricopa. And it's just growing. And I'll tell you what, there's a reason that it needs to grow. And let me throw some numbers at you, and we'll see. Around 2.2 million people are currently incarcerated in the United States, either in federal or state prisons, local jails, or detention facilities. Additionally, it's estimated that about 70 million people in the U.S. have some form of criminal record, meaning they have been arrested or convicted at some point in their lives. Though not all of these individuals have served time in prison or jail. To put this in perspective, roughly 1 in 3 Americans has a criminal record. 1 in 100 adults is currently incarcerated. The U.S. has one of the highest incarceration rates in the country. And when that is that high, you know what else happens? We have 4.4 to 5.2 million people that are barred from voting because they have a felony conviction on their record. And for me, I'll tell you, because some of you know the story, some of you don't know the story. 40 years ago, I voted for the first time in my life in 1980. And I voted for the independent candidate for the president of the United States. It was John Anderson. And then I ran into my problems, and almost 4 decades later, now more than 4 decades later, on July 30th, I voted for the second time in my life, because at Fresh Start, I got my rights restored. And I got my voting rights restored so that my voice could be heard. And we're looking at numbers that are incredible. In Arizona, 200 to 250,000 people are barred from voting because they have felony convictions. And all they have to do is come fill out a piece of paperwork. We can get them before a judge, and they can get those rights back. We spoke about the election a couple weeks ago. July 30th, in any of the races, in all of the races, if you added them up, there was about 100,000 votes that were used. 100,000 people voted in an election that covered a county that has more than 1 million people. So you're saying that 10% of the population cares about who is making decisions for their futures and their children's futures. Or you can say 90% of the population of Pima County doesn't care who is making the decisions for their household and their families and their schools and their streets and their safety. You're allowing 10% of the people to make the choice for you and your family. I think that is something that needs to change. And also, you know, as I harp on it all the time, the 200,000+ disenfranchised in Arizona, we could change any election in the state of Arizona with those votes. We could change policy. We could change legislature. We could change the sentencing code, which has progressively gotten more toward punishment, deprivation, and isolation. Why don't we move that to an incentivized sentencing code that you actually receive time credits for accomplishments that you get while you're in prison. Let's say you don't have a GED and you get a GED. Why shouldn't you be rewarded for that? And why shouldn't you also further be rewarded if you take that GED and immediately file for a Pell Grant so you can go to college? Then you have the possibility of getting a degree before you get out of there. And if you do the vocational training, and if we offered vocational training, then you would have that access to that also. The education system, the vocational system, the behavioral health system. We are constantly talking about the opportunities that we have when you're locked up 24/7. What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about what put you there, or are you thinking about what's going to keep you out of there? Because if you're still thinking about stuff in the past, you're going to live in the past. Okay, we got to start moving forward and looking forward and working forward with our lives. And in order to do that, it's going to be incumbent upon each one of you guys that is locked up in the facilities around this state, and whoever's in hearing range of this. We each have a choice in every moment that we have to choose life. And we can choose a life that is going to enhance the other lives around you, or you can choose one that's going to make the other lives around you miserable. Because I'll tell you what, throughout my life, it wasn't until I actually discovered that my behaviors actually had an adverse effect on the people that loved me. And that when I did those things, it made their lives harder. It made what they had to deal with harder, because I made selfish choices that didn't include the residual effects that were going to affect my family, my friends, those people who I was acquainted with. And then they see what had happened and they associate that with your family, your friends. So we're trying to move past all of that. We're trying to move into a trauma resilient mode, that when we start to address the issues that put us in the place, that put us in prison, then we start to grow and we start to learn. And I'll tell you what, the incentivized sentencing program, it will make prisons turn either into a college campus or a box. And I've said it before, you know what? If you want to be an idiot and you want to join gangs and you want to do all that stupid stuff with dope and everything in the joint, then you deserve to be in a box. And you get out 1 hour a day. If you want to change your life and have a flourishing future and start addressing the issues that put you in there, then we have what looks like a college campus for you, that you can address the behavioral health and the mental health issues with state support, which we have never had before, and now we do have. City support, county support, which we never had before, but now we do have. The largest public safety event in the state is the Fresh Start Expo every October in the TCC. That counts for something. But what it counts for is the people coming through the door. And we have always said it that, we know a lot of people who know a lot of people who offer a lot of resources to people coming out of prison. But if we don't get the people coming out of prison to come through the door, then it doesn't do us much good, does it? Now, if you coming out of prison and coming through those doors can see what I have seen over the last few years, you would release the stigma. You would release the feelings of doubt and apprehension about coming there and participating. Because I'll tell you, we see the rooms. We see the green room where everybody's getting their paperwork together. They're working with attorneys and law students, stuff like that. And there's still anxiety, apprehension, disbelief that anything is going to benefit them because the system has never helped them. The system's always been against them. And you know what? The system's always been the system. And yeah, it's always been broken, and until we fix it, it's going to stay broken, and it's going to affect people in an adverse way. But let's look at what you can do with what you got right now. And you have an opportunity, man. And it's just beautiful that we have the opportunity to bring people before a judge and on a single day, and they can get their record expunged, they can get their rights restored, they can get their fines reduced, restructured, or eliminated, and they can get misdemeanors erased, they can get their DMV and warrants taken care of. And it's not until they get in to see the judges after doing all the paperwork and going through what takes some time. I mean, it takes like 45 minutes to 3 hours for some people to get in to see a judge. But you know what? Sometimes it takes a year to 2 years sitting in the county jail to get in to see a judge. And if you got a warrant and you get picked up for a warrant, you know, it's going to take 30 days for them to get back to you. And what's that mean? You just had your car towed. You haven't been able to pay any bills. So why are we doing that? Why are we perpetuating the same cycle that keeps us down constantly? Why? Because there's no responsibility and just going to the joint and being who you are in the joint? Man, I'll tell you what's really cool to have found out here is that the lived experience of people who have made it through that place and that have chosen to have a future that is flourishing, and it's flourishing because they choose to help other people with that future. When you get to see that, and you get to see, I mean, I see guys slung down all of, and their life is dedicated not only to Jesus and their faith and stuff, their life is dedicated to helping other guys, other girls who have had a troubled past, who have gone through what they have gone through, and they're there to help lift them up. And we get to see that, and I've got to see that. And now that we do the little clinics every 3 months, it's like we get to see it on a smaller scale, but it's kind of like a more intimate scale. And we get to do a whole bunch more of the exit interviews, so we get to talk with the people who were doubting and thinking, you know, this is the lottery scam. They told me I won the lottery, so I got to go to the TCC to pick up my money, and then the police are waiting for you because you got warrants. That is not Fresh Start. Fresh Start has never had an arrest, a warrant pickup, anything like that. We have never had an incident at any of our events. But what we have had at our events, and I don't know the exact numbers, but over the last 4 years, with all of the events that we have done, I am absolutely certain it's close to $1 million that of fines that have been just wiped off the board. Man, and the warrants and the people that come through and don't believe it. And then you see them come out of it from seeing a judge. And they're walking on air. You have lifted a ton of weight off their back. And they're looking at their bank account and their wallet differently now. Because the $2,000, the $10,000, the $15,000 that they owed in fines is no longer there. And it's no longer going to affect the bottom line of their family. And what their family is able to do together because they have this thing hanging over their head. And let me tell you, I've said it before, and I'll say it again and again and again. A battery or a tire is catastrophic loss for somebody that lives in poverty. There are people in the town of Pima County in Tucson that don't have a savings account. There are people that have no emergency fund to bail their family out when they need to. In a tire, just a tire or a battery will keep food from getting on the table. Come out and see us. Come out, go to the website, go to the website, contact us. We can let you get back to you and let you know what it is that you can do previous to the event in October, previous to the event in November, so that you can get your paperwork together and take an interest in your own future, but take an interest in your family's future and your grandkids' future, and get registered to vote. How do I do that? Well, you got to get restoration of rights. So we can get you the paperwork. We can get you before a judge. We can get your rights restored. I believe the date it's sometime in the first 2 weeks of October is the deadline for you to register to vote for the presidential candidate in November. And I would say, let's get it done. And if you need help getting into the court, please contact us. Send us an email. We're at info@freshstartinternational.org. Send us an email. Write us a letter here at the radio station, 3222 South Ritchie. And we have people that write us that ask us questions. We try to answer those questions. We try to write back. I'll tell you, going into the prisons, the federal prison, the state prison, the release center, and being able to do what I do and know that when I go there and somebody actually, says, hey, I could use that. And then, somebody else jumps on board and says, because I'll tell you what, when it's the same thing. When we go into that room for parole, for orientation, there's a whole bunch of dudes with the hats on backwards, with their arms folded, legs crossed, don't want to hear a thing from nobody because they are used to the system being a certain kind of way. And I am here to tell you, the system is changing. We have a presidential candidate that started one of the first back on track programs for a reentry initiative aimed at reducing recidivism among low-level drug trafficking. And that's Kamala Harris, and she started that in San Francisco, and it's super successful. And we have a county attorney in Laura Conover that has started restorative justice programs here in Tucson. And they're doing the Justice Circles, which is to create a safe space for open dialogue among returning individuals, community members, and victims. Man, any of these programs that makes us whole again, and makes the victim whole again. Because remember, we took out something that happened to us on other people. And we need to atone for that. We need to ask forgiveness for that. We need, but I want people to understand what got me to the place that got me to the place that put me in there. But I say it repeatedly again. Do we care why somebody went and did a robbery? If they went to do it to feed their children, or if they went to do it to feed a habit, does it matter to us? Well, it certainly should. Because the guy that's feeding a habit needs help. And we can get him the help he needs because he's probably suffered a trauma in his life that it has affected him so adversely that he would rather be somebody else, feel nothing, and just medicate himself away from all the pain. And yes, we bleed on other people, and we did damage. And I am so sorry for the damage that I had caused. But it is incumbent upon us all to try to make each one of us whole, whether it be victim or assailant or the community, which lost also, or our families, which we need to bring back together. And that's what restorative justice practices do. And sometimes us from prison, we don't have the skills and talents that most people do because we weren't in class that day or whatever it was that happened that put us there. Let's just have some empathy. And let's just start to understand that we're each different. But we're all the same, too. Because I've told you before, Fritzi Horowitz does that ACE exam at the prisons. And by the time she's done with the 10th question, most of the inmates are in the middle of the circle with her. And you know what that tells me? That no matter what color you are, no matter what size you are, no matter what it is that you think makes you different, we're the same. And we suffered the same types of traumas, the same types of compound and complex traumas. And I'm here to tell you that Fresh Start can help us, has helped me, continues to help a population that is in need and that is still disenfranchised, is still shunned. But you know what? It's changing. And there's people that care today. We filled a room yesterday for breakfast for people that care about Fresh Start. And it was beautiful, and so many people spoke with testimonies about what has happened to their life because of Fresh Start. Come see Fresh Start, and you will find out what a fresh start means. God bless you each. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to us. Bye now.